Hello champs and welcome to the Mindset RX podcast. My name is Tom Foxley and today's show is going to be brought to you after a couple of little announcements. First of all, I've just restarted the Mindset RX Facebook group. This is a free group that it's kind of meant to be a bit more inclusive. When I record a podcast, they reach you, but there's very little way for you to easily interact. There's very little way for you to kind of respond and get your questions answered, aside from setting up an email. Who the fuck emails anymore anyway? So this is a way for you to kind of get your questions answered in a much more direct way, interact with myself and very soon a couple more Mindset RX coaches to kind of get in the system a bit more, but more importantly the best way to put this is to master your mindset. I think that's the really important way. So the way you'll find this is either by heading to facebook.com/mindsetrx, so mindsetrxd, or you can just go on Facebook and search for Mindset for Functional Athletes, Mindset RX, and you'll see a link to that. And it's a pub. No, what is it? I think it's a closed group. I think it's described as a closed group. So that means that you'll have to apply for a spot, and there's a couple of questions to ask just so I can make sure that you're a real human being, not a robot. And from there, we can kind of get you involved in the Mindset RX world, and there'll be a bunch of goodies going in there as well. Something that I'll probably kind of highlight on this podcast, but will only send out in the group itself. So once again, head to facebook.com and search for Mindset RX, Mindset for Functional Athletes. I think you see it as well if you head to Mindset RX page on Facebook. And I think it's somewhere in there. But I'm a complete technophobe, so I could be 100% entirely wrong. Now, on today's show, I thought we would touch on something that we haven't touched on in a long, long while. And it's not just for the competitive athletes, although you kind of may initially think that. It's for everyone who is competing in the world, well, training in the world of CrossFit, I think, and anyone who wants to better themselves. And if you see through the metaphor as well, it also applies to everything else in our lives. It's the pyramid that I use to see this pyramid that I'm about to describe is like a lens that I use to analyze people's issue pushing hard in WODs with. So it's a pyramid with the very baseline being familiarity, and it comes about, or I use it most when someone comes to me and says, you know what, I can't push as hard as I'd like to in CrossFit. I can't push as hard in WODs. I can't get to that dark place, as CrossFitters like to say. And the first step is always to approach general mindset, because I can give you this exact method, but I can teach you it all perfectly, but if you don't have the general mindset in place, it's never going to succeed. So what we have to do is, first of all, get that general mindset in place, go through the various stages of self-knowledge and setting some proper vision goals, and kind of realizing who you want to be and becoming aware of yourself and your different natures that you have, as well as kind of learn to sustain that and going through all these different steps. So first of all, you have to go through this. But if someone's still finding it difficult to push hard, this is where we go. We first of all go to this pyramid, and the base layer, as I said, is familiarity. No matter how much you want to push hard, if you're unfamiliar with the stimulus, you're never going to be able to. So if this is your first time snatching a certain amount of weight for multiple reps, you're not going to be able to push as hard. You have to be familiar with it. It's an evolutionary strategy to keep you alive. It's an unwise evolutionarily based move to try new things, and your subconscious mind just wants to keep you alive. That's its primary goal, to keep you, the kind of the athlete or the human being, alive. What we have to do then, in order to overcome intensity and to master intensity, is to become more and more familiar with it. It makes sense, really. We start off on a very small basis, and we maybe find an easy way to become familiar with the particular stimulus that we're looking at. So if it is, I don't know, snatches, then we just do a bunch of snatches, and we slowly kind of build in the intensity from there. We teach your subconscious mind that it's safe, because it's not your body that's limiting you in this. It's entirely your subconscious mind. And we need to allow that subconscious mind to feel safe in this environment. You got to trust it to feel safe. This is why it's a slow process, but most of the time people can be taught to push harder. When you are familiar with the stimulus and you have been doing it for a long time, the next step is to look at self-talk. And it's to look at language like, I can't do this. This is too hard. This sucks. This hurts. This is painful. I'm going to get injured. All these kind of phrases. And it's to see these clearly. First of all, we have to see them clearly. And then next, after that, we practice flipping them. So the first step here is to see the stimulus clearly, to see the language clearly in order to master our self-talk. We can't run away from this language anymore. We have to see it and to observe it very freely, and we have with kind of a great intensity. If we ignore it, if we push it to one side, then you'll never learn to get through this intensity. Once we have kind of learnt to see it, what we'll have is a list of phrases that are unhelpful, or we might have got some that are helpful as well, but chances are we're going to hear the ones more clearly which are unhelpful. So we'll have a list of unhelpful phrases. From here is simply a case of flipping them or finding something that is more positive and more true and promotes forward motion. So if we take which one should we take? This is uncomfortable. Oh no, sorry. Let's go for this sucks. Now, the phrase "this sucks." What does it really mean? It means I'm not enjoying this. Okay, that's what it kind of comes down to. This sucks means this isn't fun. This is uncomfortable. This isn't enjoyable. So if we flip that completely, we come up with something. This is fun. And this is a very easy flip to make because we look for something that is fun. You might not believe it initially that it's fun, but you can find some fun in it. So we look for that fun. We try and find the fun in there. Let's take the phrase, this is painful. This is painful is kind of usually some sort of fear-based thing. So first of all, you reassure yourself you're safe there. And then with the phrase, this is painful, what we do is we like, because there's the fear of the pain, the fear of the being in the unknown, essentially. So what we do now is we flip this intent here to something along the lines of chase the discomfort, seek out the discomfort. This is a phrase that I come back to time and time again in my training. Seek out the discomfort. And when we have that phrase, we have a different approach. We have a different focus in the training session there. So the phrase seek out your discomfort is essential. And finally, the last piece to this, and I know this is a quick one, but I've got calls with an athlete in just a couple of minutes. The last piece is vision. If you don't know your vision, if you don't know who you're becoming, I hesitate to say why you're training because we'll get mistaken to kind of believing we have to have a why. But if we don't know who we're becoming and we don't know the reason, or how this links to or how this session is the bridge between the gap of the person that you are and the person you want to be, then we need to kind of get that. You need to get that there. We need to see that clearly. So the last piece is to kind of really have your vision in place and remind yourself of what it means to have that vision. Now, this is, as I said, I've got a call in less than a minute now. So I'm going to wrap this call up, or this podcast up. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And by the way, I love the fact you guys have left 5-star reviews on iTunes. We're up to over 50 now. I'd love to get that to 75 at some point, just for my own ego basis. And head to facebook.com, search for facebook.com. I'm such an old person. Just go into Facebook and search for Mindsets RX or Mindset for Functional Athletes, and you should see the free Facebook page coming up. It's entirely inclusive, not exclusive, and we are looking for functional athletes at all types, and we shall hopefully see you there. And if you have any questions, please let me know. See you guys.